Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Whenever, wherever you're listening to this show, this is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, and proud of it. And with an accent that I suspect is very similar to what you would have heard the Founding Fathers speaking with in those days gone by. And hopefully not just the accent, but also the words that I use are similar to those that came out of the mouths of the Founding Fathers. Because I think that they were a very clever bunch of people and they came up with some fantastic ideas, great documents. And of course, we have our regimes now, the regressives, whether they're on the left or on the right, trying to break down what these great people put up for us. Anyway, on with the show. Tonight's show is coming to you from Georgia. Yes, Patrick Come Lately is broadcasting from the home studio. Now, this weekend we did manage to get out and we took a trip up into the North Georgia mountains. This is, for this time of year, typical American pastime, visiting fall festivals. The one that we went to this weekend was the Apple Festival in Ellijay, and it was great fun. It's nice to go to small town America and just see what America should really be like. And yeah, it was great fun. Weather wasn't perfect, but good enough for us to enjoy. And also, another thing, it's quite a surprise for us. We found there was a drive-in movie up there. So we managed to make our first visit to a drive-in movie. Now, this is something that I've wanted to do ever since I first visited the U.S. You know, you hear about these things abroad and always wanted to see one. Don't have very many outside the U.S. Typical American thing. But all these years I've been here, never got round to visiting a drive-in movie, and finally did that. So great fun. So I feel even more American this week, having done that. Title of this broadcast was "Refuge from the Debate," and the tonight, for those of you listening live, was the Democrats' debate. I didn't watch it. To judge by the Twitter feeds, it was mainly boring. There were one or two fiery bits, but not very much. What I did hear is that even the old hippie defended Hillier. And with the whole old hippie, I'd like to say hi to Paul and Rex, who are in the chat room. And Rex, no disrespect meant when I talk about the old hippie. Of course, I do mean Bernie Sanders there, defending Hillier when the topic of her emails came up. Well, of course, let's face it. The old hippie is a real regressive, so he has to lie. It's in his genes. His exact words were, "The American people are sick and tired of hearing about emails." Now, the polls say otherwise. But, as I said, he's a devout regressive. So lying, that's just all part of the game. Lying and hypocrisy. So how about this one? An Ivy League professor, somebody from the University of Pennsylvania, called presidential candidate Ben Carson a coon. Now, can you just imagine if Rush Limbaugh called somebody, a black person, a coon? If Sean Hannity or Mark Levin or any other right-wing commentator called some left-wing person a coon, the world would explode. People's heads would be bursting. But of course, if somebody from the university, a professor from the University of Pennsylvania, who has tenure does that, she can get away with whatever she wants. So this professor, Anthea Butler, called him a coon because she didn't agree with the fact that he claimed that people have the right to display Confederate flags on private property. First Amendment, Ms. Butler. But she tweeted, "If only there was a Coon of the Year award." Well, there you are, calling a black person a coon. Unbelievable. And why would coon be so offensive to Americans? We know all about the N-word, but actually, I found out the word coon is derived from the Portuguese word barracus, which is a hut-like dwelling used to store slaves during auctions. Interesting. But anyway, so Butler's tweet is insinuating Carson is a slave who belongs in a wooden shed. Nice how black people talk about each other, isn't it? And here we are in the chat room. Happy to see Mary has arrived. Mary, a long-time listener who used to listen in my in the days that I was on Blog Talk Radio, has found me here on Spreaker. So welcome, Mary. And yes, I do like the comment she made. She quoted something she'd seen on Twitter, which was when Sandra mentions anything for free, drink somebody else's beer. That's a good drinking game. Anyway, let's get on. And even though we're not talking too much about the debate, I'll mention a couple of things here and there. But I know that one of the topics that came up was emails, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier with the old hippie defending Hillier. But there's more and more coming out, and why America still has her anywhere near the 50% mark, and she is in a lot of polls, near the 50% mark in terms of people who would support her, is just totally unbelievable. Not only Hillier, but also the people she surrounds herself with. And remember, you can measure a person's character by the company they keep. So what about Cheryl Mills, who is her third in command, right? Don't forget Tony Weiner's poor wife is her first in command or second in command. So Cheryl Mills, whatever she is, chief of staff or whatever, has been caught sending information marked confidential to the Clinton Foundation. So off of Hillary's private server to the Clinton Foundation, emailing classified information about the government in Congo to a staffer at the Clinton Foundation in 2012. Did the staffer have classified clearance? Nope, she did not. And this information which has been obtained through a Freedom of Information Act by Citizens United, is partially redacted because it includes foreign government information that has been classified as confidential by the State Department. And by the way, many people have said pretty much anything that concerns a foreign government that is circulated is restricted, is secret, confidential information that is classified. Now, the left says, oh, well, this wasn't classified originally by the State Department. What they forget is that it is automatically classified because it is related to information that was garnered from a foreign government. And in order to protect sources, a lot of the time it has to be automatically classified. Anyone who works in government and handles classified information goes through training and is told what classified is. Now, what we have to remember, of course, is that for these people in the Clinton cronies regime, the law doesn't apply. Same thing for the Obama cronies. The laws don't apply. The normal laws don't apply, right? General Petraeus did something relatively innocent and really got slammed for it. And as Donald Trump says, and he is very right there, what General Petraeus did is only 1/10 of what Hillary has done. And more is coming to light, and I'm going to handle that later. But this whole email thing, like I said, it did come up in the debates, but was she really pressed on it? I don't know. I didn't watch. I wasn't going to be bored to death, let's face it. But as we see, the Huma Abedins, the Cheryl Mills, Clinton herself, just flipping these emails backwards and forwards, and of course, we know that breaking into a private server like that is not difficult. There is now proof out about that, but we'll see. I'm fed up with this. I want to talk about something else. So, folks, just a moment. We will change topic. And I want to talk about the LSM. Now, normally the LSM means lamestream media. But I think we should change that to be lying state media. Because a poll of people asking them about whether they thought gun violence has increased in the last couple of years or not. 56% say it has increased. Only a very small percentage say it hasn't increased. It is decreased. And then the rest don't know. And they're actually in between those that believe it's increased and those that know that it has decreased. And yes, over the last 10 years, in actual fact, gun violence has dropped dramatically and is continuing to drop. But you wouldn't believe it when you listen to the lying state media. So this is just another indication of how the LSM are twisting the news, twisting what we hear and turning it to their own agenda so that the regressives can take more and more power. But is there a way to stop that? Well, I think we do have one. I've got some interesting suggestions, but before we do that, I'm going to have to play some commercials. So I will be back after this break.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me through the break. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately. Just want to thank you for listening. And if you're listening live, please join us in the chat room. We have Mary, Paul, and Rex are there, and got an interesting little discussion going. Yeah, it's going to be a fun show tonight. While I was preparing for the show, I took a glass of my hard cider. So any Baptists out there will immediately be very annoyed at me. But my hard cider, it's good stuff. It's about 5.5 ABV. And it's probably the easiest of all my adult beverages to make. Regular listeners will know I've been talking about my beer brewing. But hard cider is really easy. Go down to one of the big box stores, buy 3 gallons of apple juice, go to the homebrew store, buy a packet of dry yeast, put it in a fermenting vessel. Make sure it's clean. That's the main thing with any of this brewing. You've got to sanitize everything. Make sure it's clean. Put it in the fermenting vessel. Leave it there for 2 weeks. Take it out. Put it in a keg. And after another 2 weeks, it starts getting better. And up to, up to 8 to 10 weeks later, I've drunk from the keg. Great stuff. Very easy to do. No boiling, no nothing. And I like a dry cider. The ones you get in most of the bottles tend to be very sweet or relatively sweet, and I like a nice dry one, and that's what I get. Lovely. But tonight's going to be fun because not only did I bring up a glass of the hard cider, I also brought myself a glass of a new beer that I just brewed, a Northern English brown ale. Newcastle brown, if you like, for those who want to compare it to a commercial one. And my local beer club is having a tasting session at the November meeting, and they asked everybody to brew brown ale. We're going to compare them, and of course, it was rather fun for me because when I was at college, I used to work in the dorm. We had a bar, of course, because in the UK you can drink at a much younger age. So all the colleges obviously have a lot of bars, and our dorm even had a bar. It was monitored by one of the professors, and he taught us all how to pour beers and cocktails and whatever. But instead of drinking lagers and things, I got onto Scottish and Newcastle brown, and so it's nice to be brewing my own now. But anyway, let's get back to politics. Just having look at the chat room there, and Mary has based on my comments about in the chat room about Ben Carson. I'm not certain whether Ben Carson has the fortitude to be president. I think I've mentioned this on the show before, Mary. And I think we need someone strong. And yes, Trump is crude. He's not perfect. He wants some things that I don't totally agree with. But I do believe that he has the business acumen to get this country back on the right track. And I think that 4 years, maybe even 8 years of Trump, if we could get it, we would be lucky, because I think it really would turn this country around. Could Ben Carson do it? Maybe, but I'm not as certain about Ben Carson being able to do that. I don't know whether he has the business acumen, although as a surgeon, he's now worth millions of dollars, so I guess he has some business knowledge. I just think that right now Donald would do a better job of that than anybody else. And like I said, I don't agree with everything he wants to do, but I can live with that if he can get the other stuff done, right? The wall, getting rid of all the undesirables, getting rid of all the regulations, ensuring decent treaties, good business relations with other countries instead of us getting totally wiped out by these other countries, things like that. I'll take the bad with the good. Nobody's perfect, and so for the moment, I haven't seen anybody else anybody else that could do that as well as he could. I'm sure, the others are not bad. It's just that I think Trump might be better. Yeah. And comment there from Rex, of course, Trump maybe in somebody else's administration, maybe Secretary of Commerce or Secretary of State or something like that, perhaps. But I would rather turn it around, let him be president. He's a businessman. He's used to looking at the best people and pulling them in to work for him. And that's what I think. That's another reason why I think he'd do a good job. But anyway, let's move on. One of the things that's really stirred things up over the last few days, really, was, first of all, John Boehner's resignation, which took place about a week, 10 days ago. I think I mentioned in the last show. But then just as they were getting ready to vote and everybody thought, it's a shoo-in for Kevin McCarthy, Kevin McCarthy said he wasn't going to do it because apparently they discovered with the Freedom Caucus, the conservatives in the GOP, he just wouldn't get the necessary 218 votes to get the speakership. And if they do a vote and he doesn't get that, that opens the door for Nancy Pelosi to come in and take that position. And of course, the Democrats will walk in lockstep with, like robots, to vote for her. So there was an opening for her to get in. So luckily, Kevin McCarthy withdrew, and now, of course, the lying state media has had a field day saying, well, the GOP is in chaos and this, that, and they don't know who they're going to get as a speaker. And some of the people, I think it was Sean Hannity, originally launched the idea of saying, well, the speaker, according to the Constitution, doesn't actually have to be an elected representative. The speaker could be anybody. And Sean Hannity put forward this idea of perhaps getting Newt Gingrich to come back and be the speaker. And so he interviewed him on his show, and Newt sort of said, well, would be interesting. He didn't deny it. But also, out of that interview came a very clear and bold vision from Newt for combating Obama. And so Newt laid out this plan of what should be done. And if you listen to the ideas, they sound pretty good. So maybe Sean is right. Maybe they should co-opt Newt and make him the speaker so that he can control things that should be going on. So here's what Newt said. First of all, he said, Republicans, you have to take your time. He noted that the Republicans are feeling pressure to choose a speaker and want to rush to get a decision rather than stopping and thinking. So he says, step on the brakes, slow down. Go into a number of day-long conferences where they honestly listen to each other. And then take a decision, look each other in the eye, know what you're saying, listen to the other person, because all of the 247 congressmen, they've all won elections. So they all know what they're doing. They all know what it's like to be in that position. And all of them deserve to be heard. Number 2, he said, find a speaker with strategy. Well, these 5 points that Sean passed on from the interview, there's a speaker with strategy, Newt Gingrich. But anyway, Newt said the Republicans should find a new speaker with a strategy which moves the Republicans towards the values of the American people. And that is really, I think, that is such an important thing. Washington is so out of touch with us. We've proven that. John Boehner was out of touch with what we wanted, and then Kevin McCarthy found out when he thought he could just waltz into the role, people didn't want him. And when you look at the polls, whether it's looking at the presidential nominee polls, where the top 60%, I think roughly now, of the votes go to what they are calling the insurgents, the non-Washington elitists, 60%, folks. I mean, that's huge. But the same thing, right? They need a speaker who will listen to the American people and with a strategy that will move Republicans towards the values of the American people. For years they've said, we've got to be inclusive, we've got to allow for everybody. Yes, but being inclusive doesn't mean rejecting the values of the majority. So Newt said, what I would ask of any potential speaker is, tell me your strategy. Explain to me how you're going to bring the Republicans together in the House. Explain to me how you're going to stand up to the Senate. And explain to me how you're going to curtail the most unconstitutional president in history. Well, these 5 points are Newt's way of doing that. And the next point is a very important one. But before we talk about the next point, teaser, I see that it is time yet again for another commercial break. We're just about halfway through the show, so folks, hang on a moment. I will be back after these messages.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And while I sip my Northern English brown ale, I was thinking, and thanks for sticking with me, folks, we're into the second half of the show. I was thinking, with all this boring debate stuff going on and everything else, I think it's time for a little bit of entertainment. And here's one of my favorite Tea Party anthems. You'll recognize it. I've played it a lot of times on the show, but it's just a nice little song. And again, for regular listeners who know that about a year ago I acquired a classic car, the music style fits right in there. Hopefully.
Taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I could hear them say, hey, take your country back, my friend. You gotta take your country back. Get out of my way or step on this train. I'm headed to my Washington house to let those suckers know on election day I'm gonna kick most of them on out. And shout no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children, and we love this nation. So let's protect our borders and protect our freedom. I'm taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I can hear them say, take your country back. Oh yeah, son, you gotta take your country back. Take your country back. Oh yeah, you gotta take your country back. Now Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Quincy Adams too. If you could go to Washington one more time, what would you say or do? I'd say no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children. And we love this nation. That's why we wrote the Constitution, to protect our freedom. So start taking your country back, putting it back on the right track. Now corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I could hear them say, take your country back right now. Yeah, you gotta take your country back. I'll take your country back right now. Son, you gotta take your country back. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah. God help us take our country back and put it back on the right track. Yeah, put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah, take it back. Oh, take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back and put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah.
And that was Take It Back, Take Our Country Back. Hopefully we can do that. Now, while that was playing, had a quick look. Looks like most of the pundits are saying that Hillary clearly won this first debate. There are another 5 to go. They're not having very many this time round. But looks like Hillary clearly won, and as many pundits said, so the coronation is on track. Coronation to be Democratic nominee. I know that I'm hoping there is no way in hell that she will make it, as even if she becomes the Democratic nominee, she will not make it to the White House. If we do that, heaven help this country. I think it'll be as bad or even worse than Obama. But anyway, we'll see. Anyway, we were talking about Newt Gingrich, and I know some interesting things in the chat room talking about what he might or might not do for us. Let's have a look here. Rex been talking about writing a novel. Looks interesting. A new topic, but someone who getting into the White House without even being elected, because the president and the VP are something happens to them. Anyway, but let's go back to Newt Gingrich. And this, I think, is definitely a very, very important topic. He's telling the Republicans, don't fear the polls. Gingrich said under Speaker Boehner, an undue focus on the potential political fallout of a government shutdown caused Republicans to give up their leverage. He said, it's time to stop looking at the polls. Ronald Reagan didn't look at weekly polls. Margaret Thatcher didn't look at weekly polls. And in 1995, when we forced Bill Clinton to decide that he actually wanted to implement welfare reform, and we forced him to agree we were going to balance the federal budget, we didn't look at weekly polls either. We looked at the nation, the future, and whether or not we could explain what we're doing. And in the chat room, Mary's been saying, Newt Gingrich is a smart guy, and he is. Just think about it. Just that there. Don't fear the polls. Every time anything came up, all Obama had to say was, we'll shut the government down. And the Republicans said, we'll get blamed for it. Okay, we won't do anything. It's absolutely ridiculous, folks. Totally ridiculous. So the final point that Newt said is, tell the president he is out of money. And if we don't do that, we're going to have a run on the dollar. We're going to have debt problems, etc. So he says the next speaker should say to the president, you're out of money. You want to close the government? Close the government. We're going to go to the American. We're going to talk about it with the American people and tell them why we're doing this. And that's what I think we need to do. Will that happen? I don't know. It's difficult to say. Mary's saying in the chat room, polls are stupid. They are. But the Republicans have been putting too much stock by it. They're too worried. If we shut down the government, then the people are going to be against us. Tell them why you're doing it. And actually, it's not the Republicans that shut down the government. It's the president that shuts down the government. Just because the Republicans present something that he doesn't like, he's the one that shuts down the government. And yet they don't get the message out. They let the mainstream media say, the Republicans shut down the government because they gave a bill which the president didn't like. So if the president didn't like it, it's his choice to shut down the government by not signing the bill. So it's about time they got their fingers out of their you-know-where and did something useful. Okay, folks, it looks like it's time for our commercial break number 3. Time flies when we're having fun. So I will be back after these messages.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-551-8302 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-551-8302. That's 800-551-8302.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Okay, folks, we're into the last segment of the show. Just a few more minutes to go. And I do want to remind listeners, first of all, thanks for listening, especially those of you that listen via many of the other channels. You can listen to the recordings, or you listen to the rebroadcast via Red State Talk Radio or the 405 Media. That's the Left Coast station network that broadcasts my shows. And, of course, Primo Mondoni and the Red State Talk Radio have the show going out 4 times a week on the two channels now that they have at Red State Talk Radio. If you want to contact me, you can email me, stefan@patrickcomelately.us, or you can go to my website, www.patrickcomelately.us, and there's a contact page there. Click on that, and then type in your questions, your comments, feedback about the show. Love to hear from my listeners, and just let me know what you like to hear, what you don't like to hear, if you've got questions, and I'll handle your answers, your questions and answers in a future show, as well as trying to get back to you directly. So, in the last few minutes of the show, I also promised some regressive hypocrisy. So, our Moonbat governor over in the People's Republic of California has just had a couple of bills appear on his desk. The first one was a bill with the right to die. He has signed a right to die, so much like Oregon and 1 or 2 other states now. In California, in about a year's time, people who have a terminal illness will be able to have assisted suicide carried out. So he's very quick to sign a law which allows people to die, to kill themselves. But I told you that there were 2 laws appeared on his desk. The second one was the California Right to Try Act. And this is one that actually had bipartisan support. The right to die was only supported by the left, not by the right. But the Right to Try Act had bipartisan support. Right to Try Act is basically an act which says that if someone who is terminally ill wants to try a medicine which does not yet have FDA approval, they can do it. 24 other states have already passed similar laws. Jerry Moonbat Brown in California decided to veto that law. He claimed that the FDA is already working on legislation, executive orders, whatever, regulations that would allow that. But it's not there yet. So they do have a plan, but it's not been put in place, and there's no telling when it would be. So he basically said, I'm not going to do this at a state level. Let the FDA do it. Well, let's look at the Constitution, Mr. Brown. Constitution says those things which are not specifically mentioned in the Constitution belong to the states. So you should have done that. But it's also very interesting. I mean, let's just think of it. Let's just think about it. He signs a bill which allows people to commit suicide if they're terminally ill. But he won't sign a bill to allow people to try new drugs that might save them from dying. So it's as if he wants them just to hurry up and die faster. Or take advantage of the new End of Life Act. Could he be that callous? Is he that hypocritical? It just goes to show the regressives are really the party of death and the party of the death committees. They laughed at Palin when she talked about that, but no, she was right. Okay, folks, where are we? We've got a few more minutes. So I want to come back to Hillary's emails because more and more is coming to light. And so let's talk about that. Apparently, there is a hacker in Serbia who had no trouble commandeering Hillary's computer twice. And now that's been documented. So what was going on there? Well, for those of you that know a little bit about computers, will know that Windows has functionality in it which allows you to remotely view and control a computer. You can sign on to a computer, you can connect to a computer and actually see the screen as on your own computer as if you were working the other computer. I've actually used similar software when my dad was alive to help him with his computer programs. And I would log on here in the US to his computer in the UK and I could see what's on his screen and I could control it. I could move my mouse and do things. I could type things in. Or I could watch what he was doing and tell him, what he was doing wrong. So that functionality is actually built into Windows. And on Hillary's server, that was not secured. So anybody could just connect up and take a look at the computer. So as Mary said earlier in the chat room, all of Hillary's emails, if we want to find them, all 30,000 that she deleted, let's just go to Moscow. They're sure to have copies over there. But I mean, this is unbelievable that Hillary would even allow that. Now, you sort of say, well, okay, she said that her server featured numerous safeguards, but she doesn't explain how well her system was secured. And she's not an IT person. She might not know. She can't explain it. But one of the things is, by keeping it in her own back room, or it was a shed, I think, on a Chappaqua estate, and then moving it later to a small mom-and-pop operation, she never really had anything proper done in terms of the security. So the question is, why? I mean, the government sets up a secure server for email for all of their people, and especially for the State Department. They have a very secure server. Obviously, it has to be. And if it isn't, then, our government's in worse shape than we think. So if she has that, why, right? The reason remains, why would she not allow her email to go over that server? Why did she have to have her own server? And really, there's only one reason left. And that's because she wanted to be protected from FOIA requests and from congressional Senate investigations. So, anyway, will that ever come out? Will she ever be indicted for it? Who knows? We'll see. We're coming to the end of the show, folks. It's almost time to say good night. Just want to remind you, Stefan at patrickcomelately.us or www.patrickcomelately.us for feedback and comments. Join me next week. Might have a little bit of analysis of the debate and see what's happened in the polls by then. And if not, there'll be plenty of other topics because, The left just keeps messing things up. And the GOP is doing a pretty good job as well. Folks, the music is starting. It's time to say TTFN, ta-ta for now. See you next week. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.